If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make us proud, your nation in appreciation says thanks to you out loud. Your schoolmates should imitate the way you tap your potential. Let me try to convince them why their effort is essential. Our men and women in uniform before, during, and after Desert Storm always perform above the norm everywhere and anywhere on the planet. Your peers should follow our heroes' lead, but they cannot follow if they cannot read. Allow me, please, to plant this seed. Don't take freedom for granted. I'm serious, I'm furious to see U.S. schools behind. No excuses. What we must do is just make up our minds. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. We believe in you, warriors, protect you too. Do what you must to rise. So please do your part and please start before another warrior dies. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. They sacrifice for you. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. Please.
Recording in progress.
Continue.
I don't know. Did that come on? Okay. And are we on? This is Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, emanating from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center every Saturday, 1 until 2 p.m. KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. And we are blessed on Saturdays lately to have as our producer and engineer the founder of KUAW.org, Louis George Walker, from whom we will get some remarks as the program goes on. This is a very special Memorial Day program, Saturday, May 29th. My name is Carl Boyd, and we have two very special veteran guests with us. Tell me if I am pronouncing Jarena right, but it is Floyd.
Yes, sir. Jarena Floyd. Yes,
and the new commander of VFW Post 8100 in Grandview, Missouri, and Brother Andre Sidney. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
5th District Commander. And I will want to hear from you to make sure that all of those introductions are properly. But before I do, I am proudly wearing the cap that was presented to me by former Commander Gerald Caldwell, VFW 8100. And please, for those of you who are seeing this for the first time, allow me to explain. What you are reading is Proud Military Advocate. I am so proud to wear the cap, and sometimes almost reluctant to do so because it is such a nice cap that I find people coming to me thanking me for my service. Please understand, it says Proud Military Advocate. I am a civilian. I began teaching on the south side of Chicago in 1964. And my message to students is, in as much as there are those who sacrifice in the way that you sacrifice, we owe not only a debt of gratitude, but excellence in our pursuits. So I continuously thank Brother Gerald Caldwell for the cap, but more I appreciate the reason he gave it to me, and that's because of observing those like our very special guests today. So forgive that very lengthy introduction after attempting to do my theme song. Now, let's get into the program, starting with Commander Floyd. And good afternoon, please. Any opening remarks from Commander Floyd?
I'm just honored to be on the air with you right now. I thank you for the interview request. And I think we're going to have a follow-up interview because this is really more of just a Memorial Day. And I have not actually been, haven't had my first meeting yet. So I'm supposed to be waiting until after I actually resume command and take over as the actual commander for the actual fiscal year. So that won't be until July. So we'll meet again for
Absolutely.
our meeting. Okay.
Well, that subsequent meeting will be an anniversary present for my wife and I. We were married in July,
Okay.
1987. So that would be a wonderful month. And Commander, and I pray that it's all right for me to already say that, Floyd, perhaps I can ask you to introduce our second special guest for today.
Okay, I'll do my very best. He hails from post, was it 5193?
1829.
Oh, 1829. I don't see it in front of me. And he's also coming to you as the District 5 post commander, commander of District 5. And this is Andre Sidney. He's going to have to tell you the rest.
All right. Please go ahead, Brother Sidney.
Thank you again, Mr. Boyd. Always a pleasure to be joined on the station with you.
Thank you.
I think we've sat on multiple different interviews before, and this is always a pleasure of mine to join you. As mentioned before, I'm a past post commander of 1829, Kansas City, Missouri, and this is going on my second term, reelected as the 5th District Veterans of Foreign Wars, Department of Missouri, District 5 commander. So it's quite an honor to be here and honor to be a part of this.
Would you happen to be acquainted with Carl Tate Jr.?
Carl Tate, yes. He's actually with our post in Blue Springs.
Absolutely.
So 5th District, we cover all of Jackson County. So I'm in charge of a lot of posts.
Well, I'll tell you, in 2014, I was blessed to do a book signing at VFW Post 8100. And my book, Academic Patriotism, was forwarded by Carl Tate Jr. He wrote the foreword for my book. And academic patriotism speaks to American students striving for excellence in honor of our troops. Okay. As was alluded to by Sister Floyd, there is so much that we want to know about each of you personally, but in as much as we are celebrating this weekend, Monday being Memorial Day, I would like each of you to help our viewer listeners understand Memorial Day in a way that perhaps we don't understand it yet.
Okay.
And that goes to both of you, but either of you may start.
Okay. Well, as a service member that served in the U.S. Army, I didn't retire because when Desert Storm came about, my husband was already there and we have 2 children. And so when they said it was time for me to go, I said, what about our children? And they said, what about them? So I said, well, I, I wanted to invoke my right to chapter out of the military, to be able to be a parent to my children. And they refused my request. So I was sent, and my husband said, well, you're going to be going back because you're going to go back pregnant. And I'm like, well, I don't need any more children. So eventually I did have to go through the system and seek legal counsel through JAG, which is a judge advocate. And they represented me on my behalf to let me chapter out of the military, to be able to be a parent to my children, because they went up my chain of command of my family tree and my husband's as well. And and I told them, I had brothers I had a brother on Air Force active duty that could have went, and I had a brother in Marines in the reserves. He could have went. So I told him I don't have adequate family that wouldn't be deploying themselves that would take my children. And on my husband's side, his family weren't able. So I had to get out of the Army at that time. So I know there's a lot of challenges, as being a mother and a parent and then on active duty, with a dual husband on active duty as well. So I made the decision to get out. He did his 20, but at the time I made my decision to get out. But Memorial Day, to me, it just represents those that have lost their lives and that have served the military and have died during their combat time or just active duty time.
Wow.
Okay.
And as we continue with that discussion, Brother Sidney.
So, a little about myself, and I completed 10 years of service. I initially joined into the Army National Guard for Missouri as a combat engineer, right out of high school. Because at that point in time, I knew for me personally, college was probably not the path that I was looking at right away. Although I did end up going back to college, I chose the military first. I've always had a sense of patriotism. I was in the Boy Scouts of America as a young man, and I have attained the rank of Eagle Scout. Once an Eagle, always an Eagle. Sense of patriotism has always been in the blood. I've had family members that's been in service. When I did end up joining, unbeknownst to myself, they said the National Guard won't deploy. Well,
That's a lie.
I chose a combat field, a combat engineer field, which as soon as I completed training, was deployed. I did 2 years or 2 tours over in Iraq. Upon coming back from Iraq, the sense of patriotism stayed flowing in my blood. I volunteered for the next mission to go over to Guatemala. I took 2 tours over in Guatemala, which was not a combat zone, but we was there building hospitals and schools for the local natives. Every time there's a tornado cleanup, I volunteered to be on the engineer crew to go over there and help clean up, rebuild, and help people. I'm always about helping people. I'm a community organized person. I love involving the community. And I credit a lot of that to my scouting career. It's been an honor to serve with the military for over 10 years. And upon getting out, I could not let my story end there. So I took the time to come and join the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Ironically, I put this out briefly. The Veterans of Foreign Wars is who helped me get rated through the VA hospital. And when they did not ask for an application. They did not come back and give ultimatums or reasons why they couldn't help me. They volunteered their services just knowing that I was a veteran. And when I realized the dedication and patriotism of that alone, that's why I believe in our mission and our motto of no one does more for veterans. So I immediately called and said, how can I join the Veterans of Foreign Wars to give back what they gave me?
It is so important to remind those who are with us that we are listening to the voices of Commanders Floyd and Sydney. That post coming up in July for Sister Floyd and Brother Sydney, 5th District Commander. And each of you said something that surprised me a little bit. Let me start with Commander Floyd. As I mentioned, I am a civilian. As a civilian, when I look at someone who serves, my oldest brother was a Marine, second to him was an airman, and my brother closest to me was a soldier. And I thought that you decided that you would simply retire. You would just say, thank you for this opportunity. I'm going home now, full benefits, see you later. Sister Floyd, you told me something that I never would have expected.
Okay. And what was that?
And that was that it was not quite that easy to simply be discharged.
No, sir.
Those of us who see someone like you make assumptions that are not necessarily true, but there are things that go along with the service, and motherhood is not necessarily simply compatible, but apparently you are satisfactorily in the situation you're in now, which is a blessing.
Yes, sir.
So thank you for helping us to understand.
Mhm.
And Brother Sydney, one of the things that I have talked about often, I don't recall that when we have talked before I did, but there are people in the United States of America who think that Black patriotism is an oxymoron. And you are helping us to understand that you have been patriotic from childhood. And by the way, I'll shut up after I say this and allow you to talk. But by the way, it was interesting to me the way you mentioned being an Eagle Scout, and you are so humble. It made it sound like all of us could be Eagle Scouts, but there's a little more to it than that, and you might want to talk about that as well. But tell me, please, a little more about your story.
So, as I was mentioning before, I said, yes, the Boy Scouts of America, of course, is a youth organization that strives even into adulthood. Um, I I worked for about 6 years as a youth, and when I attained the rank of Eagle Scout prior to my 18th birthday, it's not a one and done. Eagle Scout is a lifetime commitment. Outside the Veterans of Foreign Wars, I'm also heavily active in the district and council level of the Boy Scouts of America. We've had interviews before, sir, with the National African American Gun Association. I'm heavily active with them as well.
Yes.
Outside of all my activities, I'm a proud father, 4 young men, well, 2 adults, 2 younger guys, and a husband to my family. So I'm actively busy all the time. Some may ask, why am I so busy? And to be truthful, I'm rated with the I'm rated through the VA hospital for post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh.
So with PTSD, I have to keep myself physically busy. I cannot take the time to sit back and dwell on any kind of issues. So to prevent me from having uh, unstable issues, I keep myself really busy. I still work full time, 40 hours a week on top of all my tasks.
My God.
And I love every bit of everything that I do.
That,
So
that
that's
is
just a little bit about me.
yes, that is outstanding. And let me indicate, as it refers to the flow of the conversation, as I hear from each of you, uh, Commander Floyd, it was interesting that as you talked about your impending post and the assumption of those duties, I did not hear you say, and I am the only female, I am the first female, I am, but we will understand this is not about ego, but just from a factual standpoint, will you help us to understand what it is like being a female and what you had to go through in your leadership positions?
Um, well, first off, let me say I took a trip to Fort Leavenworth yesterday, and I went to the Buffalo Soldier Monument, and they have a woman who was the first female commander of an all-female Army unit. They were the mail carriers.
6888.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, and that moment, it just gave me a sense of humbleness and some clarity that I stand on their shoulders. And to be able to be the first woman in 100 years of history of a VFW post to, there's another female member that's active, but she never wanted to be the commander, and she's not African American. So for me to be nominated and accept the nomination as a female and as an African American, I didn't understand what it involved in the beginning until the first African American commander of Post 8100, Gerald Caldwell, brought that to my attention. He said, I was the first African American male. And he said, and you're the first African American female. So I said, well, that's double history. The first female and first African American. And I'll dwell more, I'll go into more detail in my interview in July. But he made it very clear that they will support me. And I was told I'm supposed to be supported like a girdle supports a woman. So I said, well, if that's the kind of support that you guys can guarantee me, then I will accept this nomination. And they said, well, then it sounds like you're a commander already before the vote. And I said, well, hold on. So that's kind of how honored and humbled that I have to be to serve my country and to serve not only those that are serving, but to serve the community.
Well, I must say to you that it greets me with a significant sense of pride getting to know you. I happen to be a Grandview resident, but just having an association with veterans that I do as a civilian, Jarena Floyd, you really enveloped me with a significant sense of pride. And let me just ask Brother Sidney, as we discuss this, particularly in this time that we're living in, where many are sensitive to issues concerning Black citizens, let us not easily just glide by the post that you serve. And Brother Sidney, how does that mark history where being commander of 5th District is concerned? Are you among several Black commanders, or is this also something unique?
So I was actually the first Black commander for Post 1829. And I worked 4 years taking our post and continuing the tradition of what we have is called all state awards. I was nominated and elected as the first African American district commander for 5th District, Missouri. Taking these honors on humbles us because it shows that we're not any lower or higher than any of our fellow citizens of our society, of our community. It shows us that we can do the job just as equally and as great as our fellow comrades, regardless of the race that they are. And that's the weight that we carry on our shoulders. Today in media and everything else that's going on, it seems like there's trying to be a race war or a boundary line that says who's better than who. And by no means do we consider that. I will say, I believe that a lot more people should take on a patriot's role of joining the military source. Because if at any point you find yourself feeling like you're better than than someone else, you need to be in a situation where you have an instructor or a drill sergeant tell you there is no other races out here. There is no other genders out here. We're all the same. We're all the same color. And at that time, it was a green uniform. We're all green. There's no black, there's no white, there's no Asian, there's no African, there's nothing. We're green. We're here for one cause of bettering our society, our community. We need to have that mentality.
As you look around in today's world, some of the strife that we are encountering from each of you, reminding those who are looking and listening on Wave Your Grades, we have Jarena Floyd and Andre Sidney, commanders both. How do you assess where America is today and what do we need to do better?
Well, I assess the country as a whole, with us having this pandemic, and we're trying to slowly pull out of it. The pandemic is still there. It's still evident. There are still people getting COVID every day, hundreds. Hospitals are still full of patients that do have the COVID virus. And I think people shouldn't use that lightly. But I also think people not wanting to show their patriotism and be patriotic, not wanting to, as a young person, my dad was in the military, so I felt like I just had to follow into his steps. He was Army, I was Army. Now, my other brothers chose different branches, but me being a daddy's girl, I knew I had to follow in my dad's steps of being in the U.S. Army. And the freedoms that we protect and provide for others, a lot of people take it for granted. There are a lot of people that don't take it for granted, and they respect military people when they see them. It wasn't that way back in the Vietnam and Korean era. My dad said he did not come home to any heroes welcome. He was considered a baby killer. It was it was a lot of negativity when my dad came home from the Korean War, because he's 90 years old now. So he told me, make sure you never take any of this for granted, because a lot of people, some gave all gave some.
Yes.
So.
Wow. Yes, indeed. Brother Sidney, please.
Thank you, sir. Where we are sitting at in our society today, I believe that we are definitely improving what we were decades ago and beyond. We are becoming more of an America that was promised to our ancestors and our forefathers. One thing that stands apart that I always stand on and I believe into is the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. In the entire document, it does not outline race. It says we the people. Now, for whatever reason, we got lost and our path took us to judging each other, does not take away the guarantees and the promises of the Constitution and the Declaration. The faith aspect of life. The Bible does not break down race. So why we have people in our society that do not believe that we should not be treated equally, I will never understand. It is my job going forward, not even with just the veterans of foreign wars, but it's my job as a father to teach my young man, to teach the future what the potential of society is and how to apply it for equality for all. Where we're going wrong with is we have those of our society who are failing to teach that principal cause, which is why I believe we have so much strife and stress in our society as it stands.
Yes.
Memorial Day is a day that has a lot of weight behind it because not only were both of us able to be in the military because of our ancestors who served in the service and the military, who paved a way for African Americans to be in the service. But we also stand side by side with those of our Caucasian side and our other races out here who also stood shoulder to shoulder. One thing that we always believed when I was in, and I was a combat engineer for 7 years and I did field artillery for 3 years. It doesn't matter who you are on my right, my left. I'm not in any of these conflicts that the United States went through. I'm not here for the belief of the conflict. Frankly, a lot of us didn't even want to be there in any of our situations. But if you ask any of us why we were there, it wasn't for the cause of the war. It wasn't for the interests of the United States. It was to protect my brothers and my sisters to my right and my left. That's why so many numbers are overseas. We take up arms to save the man and the woman to our right and to our left. That's it.
It is impossible to thank you appropriately for bringing that up. One of the things that you caused me to think about, we have commemorated what is referred to as the anniversary of what happened to George Floyd. This weekend, there are several special programs which will focus on Black Wall Street and what happened in Tulsa. And Sister Floyd and Brother Sidney, I so appreciate those specials, but I honestly feel that much more on this particular weekend could focus on what Memorial Day means to all segments of the population, to all races of people, to both genders. That does not take away at all from the necessity of understanding the impact of George Floyd or the history of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But the two of you remind us profoundly, not only in what you are saying, but in who you are, that this is not a celebration for an isolated segment of the population, but this is for all of us. My question to both of you, and please, we can start with Sister Jarena Floyd and Brother Andre Sidney. Do our schools do an adequate job of reflecting on what it means to be a military veteran in the United States of America?
Um, from my point of view, I don't think they represent enough. Um, just as a VFW member, we offer the Patriots Pen and what's the other one that
Voice of
students can?
Democracy.
Voice of Democracy. And these are awards that we offer and scholarships that we are offered to high school students. They just write a short couple paragraph what it means to show patriotism or support whatever the topic is for that year. And a lot of them do not participate, and it's free money. It's the first, second, and third prize cash that's offered. Plus there's scholarships available. And a lot of them don't know about it, and if they don't know, they can't participate. But a lot that do know, I believe they offer it through the ROTC. And some of them are just ROTC cadets that take part, but a lot of students do not participate, and a lot of that money goes unclaimed year after year because the opportunity is there. I mean, sometimes they might have something in the elementary school during Veterans Day week or, something of that nature. But I guess that's the school figuring that's their quota for the year to, represent the military on that one day in November. But like I said, a lot of times that's really in the elementary schools.
Yeah.
And so I think we could do a lot more, but I do think there's a lot of work to be done. So
Before Brother Sidney responds to that question, let me remind those who are viewing and listening that this is Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, emanating from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center, Saturdays from 1 until 2 p.m. And we are extremely proud and pleased to have as our special guests today, Jarena Floyd, getting ready to assume the office of Commander, BFW Post 8100 in Grandview, Missouri, and Brother Andre Sidney, 5th District Commander. And we were talking, Brother Sidney, about the role of and how well, or if not how well, how poorly our schools do in understanding the military in the United States of America.
I believe deeply that from a young age where, and I apologize, I do not know exactly when year-wise we decide to take patriotism and the American Pledge of Allegiance from our schools. And I think around the same time where we started trying to be more cautious about offending other religions by taking the Pledge of Allegiance out of our schools. I think, not prayers out of our schools, I apologize, prayers. I believe that was the beginning of the demise of our society. I believe that was the beginning of coming back to making people not as patriotic and not as loving to our each other. We don't focus enough on what it means to be a patriot, as for the young to see what we do for our nation. There's a lot of great teachers and they have a strict curriculum that they have to follow. But what happens when these young people come out of school? Are they prepared for what life really can be? Wow. And depending on the school, it depends on the resources. I have this conversation with my wife, and where we have to fight for equality as far as if you're in a certain district or a certain boundary, do you have the adequate resources of newer books, newer education tools? Um, and they don't. So when we come in saying, hey, you struggled your life in a school that did not give you adequate resources, and we come forth and says, now give your life and give your service to your to your country. Why? My country didn't take care of me growing up.
Ooh,
Um, so we are failing our future generations by not taking care of our country.
my Lord. That is so
Commander,
important. And Commander Floyd, I think you were getting ready to say something.
well, I'll just mention, say, Commander Floyd mentioned that we offer scholarships every year. Two, one is called a Patriots Pin for our middle school, and a Voice of Democracy for our high school. Patriots Pin is a written essay for 6th to 8th graders. This year's topic, and every year it has a controversial topic that our entire organization loves to push it out there. We wish more families would get involved with this, and they can visit any VFW post and submit a nomination or submit their essay for it. But Patriots Pen's topic for the 2021-2022 is, sorry, how can I be a good American? Not even a great American. How can I be a good American? Visit any post, submit your essay, 6th to 8th grade. The essays get judged on a post level, a district level, a department level, and then a national level. Winners have an opportunity to win financial scholarship levels of different. We can't guarantee the exact total, but the top award for Patriots Pen is up to $5,000 for the national side. You
Outstanding.
can win financial assistance for yourself on a district level, on your on your state level, on your district level, and on your post level. So a young man or lady can potentially get a lot more.
Let
Our
me,
high school, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, please go ahead.
I'll say our high school topic, and this one's really, really controversial, which we would love everybody to get involved with. It's called America. Where do we go from here? Voice of Democracy. The top level for that is $30,000 for a college scholarship on a national level. The top level. Last year, we gave away free laptops with financial assistance.
Yes.
But the hard part we have is for a lot of our organizations, we'll go into the schools and we'll say, hey, we're veterans of foreign wars, and we would like to engage our youth in an opportunity for a scholarship if they can participate in a essay contest. And some of my direct impact for our local community is, first, who is the veterans of foreign wars and what are y'all? And I had to step back and say, veterans of foreign wars. It's in our name. And then I've had parents that say, well, why should I get my kid involved? And automatically I know that that's a problem. Why is it a parent does not want their kid to be patriotic when you can sit back and enjoy the freedoms of our nation?
And we provide.
So this is a hard pill to swallow when it comes to society. Why do you not want to be patriots, but want to live in this society that we provide this patriotism and freedom for you?
Let me indicate that in one moment, I will introduce my question by saying why I am proud of each of our guests today for some very specific reasons. Before I do that, let me find out if Brother Walker, are you on with us? For Brother Sidney and Sister Floyd, forgive that, by the way, excuse me, that casual address. Commanders Floyd and Sidney, each program, I asked Brother Walker to let all know how they can access kuaw.org and some of that which is offered through this program. And if Brother Walker does not mind doing it now, please do.
You can reach, or you can listen to KUAW on Facebook. Just go to KUAW-radio, or YouTube KUAW Radio. You can also pick us up on Twitter, which is KUAW_radio. So this broadcast is going out live right there. Our audio only broadcast goes out on mytuner.com, also on the online radio box, on TuneIn. If you have a Google speaker or a smart speaker from Amazon, anybody just tell Siri, tell Alexa to play KUAW radio, and you will hear the audio version of these broadcasts. We're on 24/7 on the audio side, and we broadcast all of our live feeds live, for lack of a better word. So be sure and check out KUAW Radio. You can pick us up anywhere. Just go online and say KUAW, search KUAW Radio, and we should come up. You can also go to our website, www.kuaw.org, and then you'll see all the ways that you can connect to us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much, Louis George Walker and KUAW.org. KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. Coming back to the program with Commanders Jarena Floyd and Commander Andre Sidney, indicated to you that you make me proud for two very particular reasons. So let me start with Commander Floyd by saying, while you have not dwelled upon it, we have to be proud in the United States of America of African American females who achieve this height of accomplishment, because actually, factually, research has shown that in the United States of America, the plight of African American females is worse than most as it relates to opportunity in America. So with that observation, and when you are talking to a high school or a middle school, how, Commander Floyd, do you encourage young females, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, but particularly young African American females, to strive for the kind of accomplishments you have made?
Well, first off, I talk about, my life and some of the things that I've accomplished, not going the route of college right after high school, even though I do have college. I've gotten college after my military time, but, explaining everyone is not ideal to join the military, and everybody's not ideal to go to college. So it's an individual decision on which route you want to take. But you don't want to be stagnant and just staying on the block and living in mama's house all your life. You want to achieve and accomplish things in your life, and military is one great way. You get to travel, you do earn decent money, and after your service, you can have your medical care at the VA hospital or other clinics. And there's a plethora. And I can tell them, talk to me one-on-one, and I can tell you a lot of the benefits as a veteran that I have, just because of being a veteran. I mean, a lot of students, they don't understand what it really would, real life would be without seeing examples. A lot of career days are not designed, other than, like I said, Veterans Day. That's really the only time they get to know about veterans and what veterans have accomplished. But it's not like we served and protected only on Veterans Day. This was our job, and we did it, 24/7.
Yes.
So yes, that's what I can share with them.
Thank you so very, very much. And before I get to a very specific area, something that I want to make sure that I do, Commander Sidney, you were talking about competition for young people at different grade levels. And we would certainly like on Wave Your Grades to pass along the pertinent information to the young people and their parents. So are there deadlines that we're looking at, and how do they become a part of the competitions?
The deadline for submissions every year is October 31st to any local Veterans of Foreign Wars post. They can reach out to us through our Facebook at VFW District 5, Department of Missouri. They can find us on our website, and we actually have a local District 5 website, VFWMODIST5.org or MOVFW.org. And any of those sites will point you in the direction of how to get in touch with any of us. If you have parents who want to figure out what the entire organization is about, just VFW.org by itself will tell you a lot about our history, what we are about, and our commitment to our community.
And I wanted to indicate, as I did with Commander Floyd, why I have this particular pride for knowing Commander Sidney. To have an African-American male in the military have the audacity to speak about patriotism since childhood is something that all young people, regardless of ethnicity, need to hear and appreciate. And if you would, not necessarily at length, because we're coming towards the end of the program, but our young people in today's world, Commander Sidney, I pray that you will agree with me on the fact that young people in America are not growing up with an appreciation for what safety there is in gun ownership. When something happens, the natural reaction is we need to get rid of all guns. And we have our young people growing up looking at violent movies. And when you see the word action, you know somebody's going to get blown up or shot or killed. So you have on the other end people saying nobody should have guns. Brother Eric Sanders and Brother Andre Sidney will have us to understand that's not what the answer is. Appreciation for understanding what weaponry is about is the education our young people need. I'm sorry it took me that long to ask the question, but to ask you to just please speak on that and enlighten us, help us to know and understand.
The founding fathers realized that it took to take up arms to secure the freedoms that we have. Taking up arms for protection, for defense, and for survivalhood as far as in hunting and providing meals for your families. Outside of that, the ideal of weaponry and ideal of using this as a toy needs to be turned away, needs to be overlooked. It needs to be redirected. Before I got into the National African American Gun Association, I did a lot of my training through the National Rifle Association, NRA. And one thing I will tell you that they do is they take the mentality of this is a weapon and they want to redirect it into this is a tool. No different from a hammer using to drive in nails. This is a tool for hunting. This is a tool for target practice, a tool for competition shooting. That is the purpose of firearms. The purpose is not to cause harm to each other. Video games, movies, different entertainments do portray a different light. But one thing we fail in society is to say that this is entertainment. This is not reality.
Thank you.
And one mission that we have in this organization of National African American Gun Association is to teach safety behind it. It's to take curiosity away from it. Because if you don't know what it is and you're curious, you can cause harm to something, either yourself or others that you may love. Teaching in general, whether patriotism, firearm safety, scouting, whatever it is, has to be a passion and not a job. And if you have people who come in who teach the future of our society, that look at it as this is what I need to make money versus this is my passion, you get taught wrong. And we need to start teaching with love and compassion and not wrong.
Well, Brother Walker and I have the occasion to say every week that the hour goes a lot faster than we expected it to. And we're already at the end of the program. I would like to start with Commander Floyd to hear closing remarks, and then Commander Sidney. If there is something that you want to end with, please do so now.
I just want to end with the fact that this being Memorial Day weekend, Memorial Day is Monday. A lot of people are taking advantage of being off on that day. Just take a moment of silence to just remember not only family members that have passed on, but the members in the military service that have given their lives for this country and for our freedoms. That's it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, Commander Sidney.
I would like to close with, first off, thanking you for the opportunity to be on your show.
My pleasure.
As Commander Floyd mentioned, this is Memorial Day weekend. This is in remembrance of those who served us, rather, I know, founded for military personnel, but also for civilian side. Our past leads us to our future.
Yes.
As a Memorial Day, we have a POW flag that